Telltale, is saying the Democrat Party rather than the Democratic Party offensive? I have had a lot of this recently. I found this really interesting because I had never heard this before. I had never heard that it's offensive to say Democrat Party rather than Democratic Party. Personally, I think that's a little ridiculous. I understand that somebody on the right, the far right, came up with it forever ago, like decades ago, and they've been using it as an epithet, apparently. Personally, I couldn't possibly care less. I don't think it's that big of a deal. And let me tell you why. There's something called the euphemism treadmill. I don't know if you guys have heard of this. I think the person who came up with the term was Sharon Henderson Taylor in 1974, but Steven Pinker has talked about it anyways. So the euphemism treadmill is this idea that words that are in common usage become offensive over time and are deprecated in favor of different words, different terms for that exact same thing. Let me give you an example. People in 1900 used to say the word Weisenheimer, goop, bash, and hawkshaw. Those were really common words back then. Used slang words, they were used constantly, right? Now, we don't give a shit about those words. We didn't even know what those words were. A lot of you guys probably never even heard those words before. But there was a period of time when those words were offensive. So somebody comes up with a word, they start using it to refer to something, anything. Hawkshaw means detective. And after some period of time, those words become offensive and they're deprecated in favor of a different word. After a few years, after a couple of decades even, that word becomes offensive. Here's another example. When I was younger, my dad was handicapped. That is an offensive word, or it's bordering on an offensive word. Handicapped is being deprecated for the word disabled now. You're not supposed to say handicapped. Some people actually are in favor of not saying the words stupid or idiot. They believe that those are offensive words. They'll use different terms. They'll say, you're being ridiculous, or you're being outrageous instead. People used to say colored person, and now they say person of color. This kind of thing happens, and it's always happened throughout history. The NAACP stands for National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. Now that's an offensive term. Now we say person of color. So the euphemism treadmill, to me, is a ridiculous rat race, but I understand why it's important to continue to deprecate certain words that are no longer acceptable. I will continue using the word stupid and idiot, and I'll continue using the word handicapped until somebody genuinely takes offense at that, and then I will stop. Then I'll start using disabled. That's where I place myself on the euphemism treadmill. You get people like Prager, Dennis Prager, completely losing his fucking mind over the fact that he can't say the N-word anymore. No, legit. I mean, I'm not joking. There's video of this. In fact, I might insert it in this clip.
The left has made it impossible to say the N-word any longer. That's disgusting. It's a farce. It's the only word that you can't say in the English language.
Why is little kid to say the K word?
Because the left doesn't give a damn about that word. Because that's why. The left runs the country in the culture. And the more the left controls, the more totalitarian it is. That is not an attack, it's a statement of fact, like 2 + 2 = 4. It is idiotic that you cannot say the N-word. Idiotic. Of course, you should never call anybody the N-word. That's despicable. But to say the word, you can't even say that the word is despicable. You have to say the N-word.
There is real video of the guy disintegrating publicly because he can't say the N-word anymore. So I'm not going to be that person. That's fucking stupid and wrong. But I'm going to place myself in the middle of the euphemism treadmill. When somebody yells at me about it, I'll change it. Not because I think it's wrong to say handicapped or stupid or idiot, but because public perception is changing and I'm going to move along with public perception. So that's simple. To get back to the Democratic Party or the Democrat Party, I think it's stupid to be offended over something like that. And on Twitter, somebody actually said that calling it the Democrat Party is as bad as dead naming a trans person. Obviously, they're pretty far up on the euphemism treadmill. If the euphemism treadmill was a scale 1 to 10, they're at 11. I'm at 5 here. So they're getting entirely too offended. In fact, they're getting so offended by this that it is actually offensive to trans people what they're saying now. So I'm going to disregard extremists like that. That person was clearly an extremist on this subject. But if people are genuinely pissed off at me and really upset that I'm saying the Democrat Party instead of the Democratic Party, I guess I'll just say the Democratic Party, even though I think it's stupid. And when people genuinely get upset with me over saying handicapped or stupid or idiot, and there's actual public outrage, I will change. And I'm not going to sit here and bitch about it. I'm just going to do it. But I wanted to put this on record. This will be probably its own video so that everybody understands my position on it. From here on, I'm not even going to talk about it. I'm just going to change my language to conform with the euphemism treadmill. Carla Berger, like the R word, exactly. That word is genuinely offensive now. And I don't say that word. There was a period in time in my young life where I did say that. Not offensively, just regularly. Like I used it to refer to mentally disabled people. I thought that was the word you were supposed to use. And it was the word you were supposed to use at the time. Now you use a different term for it, and I haven't used that word since. Some words, I'm totally on board. 100%. We shouldn't be using the R word. It's not like I'm not going to bitch about it, I'm just going to do it kind of thing with that. I think it's right to stop using that word in that one case. But there are some words like handicapped and stupid and idiot that I'm just following along because I don't want to offend anybody, basically. It's not that big of a deal. It's one word. Who fucking cares, honestly? So I'll continue using the word Democratic Party. But if I fuck it up, I'm not going to shed a tear. It's more about refusing to use someone's preferred word even when they have corrected you, such as refusing to call you Owen and solely using Carter. Not sure what you mean. You mean dead naming? Dead naming's not part of the euphemism treadmill. That's a completely different thing. That's totally separate, and dead naming is absolutely wrong in every circumstance as far as I'm concerned. Is that what you were referring to? I'm trying to understand what you were getting at. It's more about refusing to use someone's preferred word. Well, that's like, you mean like for handicapped or disabled? That's your preferred word. That's not my preferred word. You feel free to use disabled. And I will use the word that I have used to refer to my dad when he was handicapped. If enough people get genuinely upset about that, like I said, I'll change it. But handicapped is not offensive. Like, it's just being deprecated. If you're taking offense to that, then you're on the extreme end here. There will come a time when wider society agrees. Handicap is offensive. There will come a time when that's the case. That time isn't now. We probably have about 5 or 10 years before that's the case still. So when someone calls me out and yells at me for it, I'll change it.